about your defense tonight, especially in the second half?
Yeah, I was really, really happy with our effort, and I think it's really basically the first game we've had 2 halves of really good defense. We certainly played some pretty spectacular first halves of defense, and then kind of laid down a little bit in the second. But our guys stayed with it, stayed on it, as I'm sure you guys noticed and recognized. That's not an easy team to chase around and guard, and it's not something that you face literally at all in college basketball anymore, with movement, cutting, and no ball screens, and not much posting up. So I thought we did a really, really nice job. I think early, we had to get a feel for just how skilled and how efficient these guys were with their offense. And then also, I think we settled down on our offense, and that helped too. And got going there. But by and large, we were very efficient on our offensive end, and probably had our best defensive number of the year, I think.
What'd you do different with the kid who hurt you in the first half?
We put Chet on him, and Chet did a great job. I mean, I really thought that. I don't know that it changed the game, but I mean, Chet did a really, really nice job. And so, moving forward, hopefully, if we face some of these athletic downhill, bigger wings, I think that Chet can draw on this experience that he had tonight.
Kind of seeing teams, he might not have to block shots in the stat book, but teams are kicking it out and normally would go up. I mean, just how much is he affecting how much teams are playing?
Well, I think that's a really good call, Keith, because they're driving it down in there on him, and they're not really even looking at the basket. So he does a nice job of staying on the ground, and doesn't usually leave the floor on lift fakes or anything. And that length is real. I mean, even if you ask Drew, in practice, both Chet and Caden have been, impacting Drew in practice. So I think if we can, again, continue to grow him to move his feet a little bit, get through actions, and just keep these guys in front, it could really help us down the road.
I think 7 of his 8 field goals were actually dunks tonight. What does it do when you can have someone in the paint like that, such a lob threat, and what does it do to an opposing defense to have someone that tall under there?
I mean, obviously it's nice to get those point blankers, but I think you got to probably look to the guys that provided those opportunities for him when you're playing with Andrew and playing with Drew, and Drew draws a lot of attention. I think those are probably the guys that end up spoon feeding him into those. But I think he's understanding that he can really benefit because he's an excellent 3-point shooter. But if he dives to the rim, I mean, he's a real force. With, like you mentioned, he's such a big target that I think our guys are getting comfortable throwing up to him.
Was some of what Hunter did out there what you're looking for defensively?
Yeah, he got his hands on a lot of balls, I think, and really got us out running, and he is able to get out and pressure. Though you got to be very careful pressuring these guys because they're so good at cutting. But I thought he had a nice mix of pressuring them, but then not giving up any cuts and getting us out in transition.
It's good in the way that they gave St. Mary's fits and maybe kept your guys' attention better.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I mean, you'll probably have to ask our guys that, but I certainly tried to make sure that they understood that they did. They took St. Mary's down to the last minute there, and I want to say even the Purdue game at half was maybe 10 or something, and Purdue's really good this year. So, I mean, I think probably the best stat of the night is holding them to 3 threes. I think they came in averaging 9 or 10 a game. And, with all that action, it's just you got to lose track, and then suck in on a penetration or on a pass, and they kick it out, and all 5 guys can shoot threes. So it's just a unique prep, and it's a unique situation to have to run around and chase all those guys at that kind of speed. So I'm proud of our guys for dealing with it for 40 minutes.
Coach, you guys are on the road now to Vegas. Not to take anything away from Central Michigan, but how important is it for you guys to play these games against the Dukes and the UCLA's of the world?
Well, I mean, it's important for everybody to play against. I mean, if you want to make the NCAA tournament, you want to, accrue a high seed, you got to play really, really good teams. And I think it's important for college basketball. I've always tried to, to set an example, and I think our program's done that over all these years. We've been ranked, and you got to venture out and play these games, and I think it'll be fun. I think our guys are looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be able to take some of our Zag Nation and crowd and excitement with us. I know it's tough when it's Thanksgiving, but that would sure be beneficial. It's always been good down in Vegas for us.
Mark, how different is the contrast, how the teams look from when you saw UCLA and Indy to now, and you guys from where they are now?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I was breaking down last night, watching our UCLA game. They literally have their whole team back. I was explaining to my family, they have their whole team, all those same guys. We basically, Drew played significant minutes in that game, and obviously Andrew played significant minutes in that game.
A few for Anton.
A few, and I don't know if Julian got in. So, we're definitely totally different, and to Mick's credit, they've kind of used that as a springboard. Man, they're playing really confident, and much like they played in the NCAA tournament. I think once they got through that Michigan State game, they really found their identity. So, it's going to be a handful, but we also need to kind of focus our minds on just getting through that Central Michigan game, and then hopefully it'll be fun on Tuesday night.
Is it kind of a source of pride maybe with the two West teams? I'm not sure that's ever happened one too.
It hasn't since we've been doing it, right?
UNLV is probably the last one that played it.
No, I think through this, Mick and I worked really hard on putting this game together, and I think we came to realize that we kind of we need to do stuff like this because of West Coast basketball, and so we'll continue to do that moving forward. But I think we've been able to both navigate our way to this game. With these lofty rankings, whether they're real or not, who knows? We'll figure that out in February, but it should make for an exciting atmosphere.
I think Mick said that he hasn't watched Jalen's shot since the game. He hasn't watched it on video. Have you had a chance to kind of go back and watch it a few times, or
you
kind of just move on?
I actually was, Marcy and I, the kids sent Jalen the little clips of us watching it last night, so just to get him fired up. So,
Coach, before you played that last year, you said it was going to be a rock fight. I don't know if I've ever seen a more accurate prediction of a game than that. A, are you excited to see how your new team responds to a game like that? And B, are you happy to have an extra day off after that game?
I mean, I'd say yes and yes, but I would say they're playing faster than they have in the past. I mean, they are really pushing it up, and they're not afraid to take throw-ahead threes and all that. So, when I talked earlier about maybe they kind of found their identity, I mean, they really are playing loose and confident, and I think that's very different than where they were, during the season last year. And Juzang's still playing with tons and tons of confidence. Aquez looks terrific. Jules Bernard has looked really well, and Tiger Campbell. We played him last year. I think Tiger was shooting 20-something from three. He's shooting 60 from three now. So Mick's done just a phenomenal job with them, because even though their offense jumps off the page, you can still see that kind of Cincinnati toughness that he's instilled with them on the defensive end. But you know what? We just need to get by and play good against Central Michigan, and then we start dealing with those guys.
How are they?
All right, thanks.